Rachel, welcome aboard. I keep saying welcome to the show to everyone, but it is an interview at the end of the day. So welcome to the interview. Why don't we just dive straight into it, Rachel? Could you please introduce yourself, maybe a title you'd like to go by, and what it is exactly that you do?
Thank you. I'm Rachel Duncan, and I'm a financial therapist and an art therapist, and I run the Money Healing Club. And I'm based in Denver, Colorado, but the Money Healing Club reaches people worldwide.
Beautiful. And for those at home tuning in, what is exactly a financial therapist? If you could elaborate a bit more on that terminology.
It's a great question because it is quite niche. There's a handful of us. It's a growing field. And there's the Financial Therapy Association is sort of the founding body, and they have a certification that's based here in the States. And so a financial therapist is a professional who comes from either the financial world or the mental health world professionally, and then does some crossover training. So if someone says they're a financial therapist, it's always good to say, like, well, where do you come from in that? Because there are CFPs who couldn't take crossover training and say they're a financial therapist. So, but my bent is more mental health first, money second, is how money impacts our mental health. So that's my bias, but you'll see more and more about us. There have been a lot of really good news reports from NPR and New York Times about this field. So that's actually how I learned about it, is from recent press.
There you go. It's very new to me. Like I said, I've been in this space specifically the last 6 months, and you'll be the first financial therapist I've spoken with. So
good.
It's good to see you're on the up and coming trends. What inspired you yourself to kind of start this? I know we were talking before we kicked off today that it is still a fairly new venture to you. What inspired you to get into this space directly?
Well, when I heard about financial therapy, I felt like I was handed the permission slip I had always wanted. I've always felt like, as a therapist, kind of out of sync. Like, I like talking numbers and I like helping my clients with their resumes. And I myself, I'm always interested in the numbers. And before I became a therapist, I was like a small business administrator and like did bookkeeping and stuff like that. So like I always had strong administrative and financial skills. And, I'm that friend that people call when they're like, what kind of insurance should I get? Like, I'm just kind of that friend. But I also love therapy. And I got into the therapy world because I was also a little bit bored with all the admin stuff. So it's like, okay, I got these two totally separate sides of my professionalism, sides of my brain, and that's just how it's going to be. They're different, right? And especially I have this creative side. So I got my degree is in art therapy and mental health counseling. So you can imagine, the type of folks that get into art therapy, are very much rejecting of business and numbers and stuff like that. So like I kind of felt like I didn't fit in either camp. And so a couple of years ago when I had my therapy practice going here, and actually a couple of friends forwarded me these articles about financial therapist and said, we think this is you. I was like, oh, what? Like I could actually bring that in. So, and ever since I said I'm a financial therapist, like I have hit nothing but good luck. Like it is absolutely the profession that was built for me. And we're inventing it. Like I said, there's so few of us. We're all, each person's kind of like saying how they're doing it. Everyone has their own flavor. And it's just given like jet fuel to my career ever since I've been able to say I'm a financial therapist. Because everyone says like you, like, I didn't know that exists. And I know exactly what I think that is. And I need that.
It's a good self-explanatory channel as well to go down, as in a lot of people can instantly relate with the concept of a financial therapist. Even me talking with my fiance all the time, like for a lot of people, money can still be a highly anxious topic of conversation. So if you can unlock those mental aspects and the mental channels of that, I think it can be very powerful for a lot of your clients.
Yeah, it really is. And I tend to work with folks who are, genuinely feel very emotional about money. I mean, I think most people do, but, folks whose emotions are, it's very dictated and really intertwined and really just heavy. And so yeah, it's cool to apply fundamental counseling skills, mental health skills in the financial sphere, it really works. That's all I have to say is it really, really works. People find huge relief in finally being able to talk to someone who's compassionate and not going to judge them and not just going to tell them what to do. It's a pretty cool process, I have to say.
Very cool. I really appreciate that. And we kind of focus now just on, the why, but I guess I like to focus on, of course, of how we actually got there in the end. How have we got here today, Rachel? What, obstacles have you had to overcome to get to this conversation today? What's been happening in your world so far?
Oh gosh, well, it's been kind of fast and furious. I got to say that I've already, my business has taken on several iterations, even in just the 2 years that I've been a financial therapist. Yeah, it's been about 2 years now. I, kind of during the pandemic, that's when I found out about financial therapy, and I had closed my therapy practice in that time because I have 2 young children. So I was sort of like so many people, like, what am I doing? What's going to happen? And when things started opening up a little bit and everyone got really comfortable with therapy online, I slowly opened my therapy practice back up and started offering financial therapy. And I think the first obstacle was just articulating it, right? Just articulating what this is. At the same time, me needing the experience of doing it to be able to articulate what it was. So I was so lucky to have a handful of early clients who, really helped me understand what this work was. So referrals are the best. So a couple of my therapist friends referred some clients to me, and that was incredible because I could kind of like sit here and think about it all day, but until I actually sat with somebody working through their money stuff, I wouldn't have known. So that was sort of the first one. But I got clients relatively quickly after I sort of established my niche. So the first growing pains was just sort of like setting up my system, because I'm here at home. That's it. Right. So figuring out my billing and then, having all the therapy practice stuff that I need to have. Everything has to be HIPAA compliant, for example, like those kinds of things that like a money coach doesn't have to deal with, but I definitely do. And so that was the first. And then I was like trucking along. And then I had a client, who said, you have to take this bigger. She said, this one-on-one stuff is great, but she herself was an entrepreneur. And she was like, you got to make this a thing. And so we actually kind of worked together to figure out how we could take this from one-to-one to one-to-many. Wow. And that was right about this time last year, actually. So it's very, very new. And so we created the Money Healing Club. And since then, she's actually gone on to other ventures. She kind of like helped with a startup. And so now it's just me. And so it's like, okay, how can we welcome more people in and also have the benefit of a community? But therein lies another huge challenge, which is community building is really hard. And everyone's jumping on the membership bandwagon. I think it's great. I also think there are a lot of memberships. I think it's going to cap out. There's only so many clubs anyone could be part of. So I am in the point right now of differentiating myself from other money clubs. And, it's hard. I communicate to people who are pretty tight on money, to be honest. So how can I help them commit to something and engage with something that will help their money habits for the rest of their life? Like I'm committed to fundamental change. It's not a boot camp. It isn't tips and tricks or hacks. Like it's fundamental, very emotional work. And every person who's gone through my program has, I am forever changed. Like forever change, it's lasting change, and it takes a little bit. But I'm in the point right now, just with my business, of really like, okay, what products and services can I offer that really support my clients as well as support me and my business? And at the moment, it's really kind of high ticket. So that's, if you want to ask like where I'm at with my business, that's the struggle I'm having right now. We started out with a very low ticket membership, but I think people didn't think it would be very helpful, so they didn't do it. And the few who didn't commit to it. So I raised the price. And so I got a handful of people really committed, but it's just a handful of people. It's not, so I'm in the middle just as a business owner of like, okay, what's going to hit the mark that will help the most people and support my business. So, and because it's my business, I get to experiment. So I am quite literally in the middle of that right now. And it's fun. It's really cool to be like, oh, I could offer that and I could offer that. Let's see how that works. So that's where I'm at, but it's all in service to my clients. I feel incredibly mission driven.
It's really well put, and it's quite an elaborate, explanation too. Quite a
Sorry.
creative as well. No, it's a good way to put it, because a lot of, even myself in my own shoes, you really don't understand when you do get a new channel to a market, what creative experience is required to find the right avenues in order to deliver that product or service efficiently. So
Yeah.
I think you articulated that really well, in order to say, you're still in that journey, which is still very exciting, so to speak. So I will definitely be paying attention closely, and if there's anything I can do to help out, please let me know. But
Thank you.
I guess as well, you may have already, I guess, hinted on that to begin with, but what helps differentiate yourself maybe from other financial therapists, or from, might help to differentiate yourself from wealth coaches in general there, if that may be a better point of difference for you, Rachel?
Yeah, I appreciate that. And when it comes to other financial therapists, I mean, there's like 50 of us. Like, there's just not many. So I think me just being me is already a differentiator. One big one is my background in creative arts healing. And so not every time, but I bring quite a bit of image making into the work. So I would say, from what I know of other financial therapists, I do quite a bit of like pretty deep, like depth work, and I do creative work. So people who are very creative, who feel like left out of the mainstream, many are have ADHD and are neurodiverse. They think in different ways. So not every time, but a lot of my work is like, picture this in this way. Sometimes I'm creating an image for them of like how to think of like the gap in savings, Two, if your money was a creature, what creature would it be? And we do that. So I think that differentiates a lot of my work from other financial therapists, as I bring in this very visual, very creative aspect. And then, if we kind of look on the other side from like other finance people, it's just that I don't know how else to say it other than I just go there. Like, my work is very deep, and bringing in both personal and systemic factors. And I think my training as a therapist can really say, yeah, everyone tells you to make a budget and stick to it, but no one says what it's like at 5 p.m. on a Friday.
Yeah.
And and so my clients feel very heard and seen in a way they've never felt heard and seen before, about how difficult it is, how as millennials we have a grief over the adulthood we were promised that we're not given. Well, has anyone let you just sit with that grief? Because I do. So I'm definitely emotions first. And I'll say, like, the work is like 80% emotional, maybe 20% practical. I definitely provide some practical stuff, but majority of it is this pretty like deeply introspective, intense processing. And that's why I think people really change from the inside out.
Yeah. And like you said from the start, I think the fundamental aspect to it is something that a lot of coaches out there don't address. And, even me, myself, you're hitting the mark there from, you taught general tips and tricks when you're younger or entering adult life. And a lot of us, just, if you're missing that key information or that relationship with money and finances, you're never going to put the two and two together accurately or on a regular, consistent basis. So, love that. Love the piece that you're holding in that space at the moment. And I guess on that, and we've been hitting how well this niche really is as an avenue. What would you, I guess, list as your biggest achievement so far, whether it's a client story or simply being in this space in general? What would you list as that biggest achievement for you?
Well, I'd say professionally, I don't know if you're familiar with the conference FinCon. Do you know FinCon?
I've definitely heard of it, but it's not in where I am. So
You should save your pennies and come. It's fantastic. So FinCon was coming up. It's a conference every year in the States in October. And they had a call for proposals about this time last year. And I don't know, I had this just sort of hit of inspiration, and I cold called a financial therapist I have been following. And she didn't even know me. I was like, hey, do you want to put together a panel for this.
That's
I don't even know
amazing.
what on. And she was like, yes. I couldn't believe it. She's like, in my mind, she's a celebrity. And then she called someone who called someone else, because we had to have 4 people. And we ended up getting the president of the Financial Therapy Association, myself and 2 other financial therapists. And we collaborated, and our proposal got picked first round. And so we had this wonderful panel that we really prepared for it, much more, I think, than other panels. And that was in October. And people said it was the best panel of the whole conference, like, because it was this more emotional part. And so that was just like me working on instinct, just hitting it right with the right people. And the topic of our speech was, because it's 2 financial content creators, kind of like yourself and other people you're talking with. And it said, stop, or what was the title again? Why it's not helpful to tell your audience to make a budget. And then we all unpacked what we see in the therapy room, why people come to us, because it's like, well, I Googled how to get better with money and just said, make a budget and stick to it. And I'm a trash person because I can't do that. And then we're like holding them with the tissues, saying you're not a garbage person. So that was a huge achievement, that I got that ball rolling and came up with a topic. And it was a huge success, just professionally and all of that. Now I can say I spoke at FinCon. So
Very cool. Love that again. And where to next then, Rachel? Where are we looking to build? What do you envision for the business over the next 2-5 years? If you have any specific client numbers in mind, or if you want to open up practices, what does that look like to you?
Oh, I know. I'm like in the weeds right now. So it's really good to have me think a little bit longer. I mean, I would love to just have more people in the club. I don't quite know what the critical mass is. That's what I'm playing with. With my current offering, I kind of have a 12-week intensive, and then people would continue in the membership. And so I'd love to have, 10 to 20 people new coming in every month, and then staying in the membership, which is very low cost, so that slowly builds to, I'd like the Money Healing Club to become the AA of impulse spending. That's really my specialty, is working with impulse spenders. And I'd love for it to become a framework and have other facilitators and, train other financial therapists, and sort of the method I'm coming up with. I think we're a little ways out from that to really distill, like, what is my method. I love working with people, and every client I work with, I learn new stuff from. I know this sounds cliche, but it's so true. And realizing, like, there is a type that I'm attracting. And that's been really interesting. Some really similar psychographics come across that I don't even say anything in my website or copy about, but religious trauma, ADHD, past addiction. It's like, wow, like, so many folks just need a more emotional place to land than they've been given. So I just want to keep growing that. I would just love to keep reaching people. And there are these memberships that have like tens of thousands of people. That's like unfathomable to me. Like, I guess I should think bigger. I would definitely need a team, but that would be incredible, right? That would be incredible. Like, what if impulse spenders could like really heal that and stop impulse spending? First off, we would really impact GDP. Because my people are the ones who are driving up GDP, probably. It would be like a huge economic shift.
We'd start to see a pretty big dent pretty quickly.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be cool?
I love that. And especially to mention, I like that little quote around, AAs for impulse buyers. I think that's a great kind of mini summary, so to speak, of the kind of clients that are currently connecting with you. So, really good connection piece there as well. And with, I guess, everything, it might be hard to encompass in one line, one quote. Maybe there's someone you've looked up throughout this whole process. Is there any, one line, quote, individual that you relate to the most through this process, or pass on to, your clients that are going through this process with you?
Yeah, I will. Well, oh gosh, there's so many. One is actually my financial therapy friend, Lindsay Podvin Bryan. She said something, I'm summarizing, this process isn't informational, it's transformational. And that's so true. Like, it's just not an information problem people have. Everyone knows I should spend less and make more and save the difference. Like, I'm not saying anything new when it comes to personal finance, right? So, and I would say it's not informational, it's transformational and relational. I think part of the problem is we're not relating to each other. The stuff is in shame. We're not talking. We don't have community around it. So the Money Healing Club brings in community that people have never had, especially millennial women, which is the majority of the folks. And they've never talked about this stuff openly. They assumed everyone else had it together and they didn't. So there's something about relationships that is also the magic sauce in here.
Really well put. And yeah, I love that. It really is. It's not just knowledge. It's never been a knowledge issue. Every man and his dog has that same information or access to it. It's about relaying that over. So love the succinctness of that. We'll put a bit of a spin on it, put a bit of a mix up, add the human element to it. I know you gave you a little heads up to some of the questions, so hopefully don't put
okay, let's go.
But some quick fires for you. What advice would you give to your younger self, Rachel? Can be any age timeline, but what advice would you to younger Rachel?
It's okay to be nerdy.
Love that. And who was your teenage celebrity crush then? If I assume it might be down a nerdy line if we were
Okay, did you guys have Dawson's Creek?
I didn't watch it personally, but I believe my sister did. So
okay, I had a crush on Percy, his friend, his kind of dorky friend. I think his name was Percy. Yeah, that was my teenage crush.
Percy, I'll do some research. And favorite podcast you're listening to can be lifestyle or related.
Oh, I have so many. I tend to listen to comedy podcasts just to get a break from all the heaviness. I really like Working It Out by Mike Birbiglia, who he's a comedian and he interviews other comedians and they work out jokes with each other. I love it. It's the best thing to drive to when I need like a break. But I do have a couple like favorite money podcasts. Yeah. Oh gosh, I have so many. I mean, The Indicator by Planet Money talks about the economy. That's really good. And then there's Weird Money by Paco de Leon. There's so many money podcasts. It is hard to choose, but those are a couple top ones.
Exactly. There's so many out there today. That's why I do like to ask this question for anyone starting out and not knowing where to begin. Yeah, they could try a few of those. So similar down that audio track, what music genre, I guess, gets you in the zone for work or gets you in the zone at the gym or whenever it is? What's your go-to?
For working, I like lo-fi. I just ask my Echo for a lo-fi mix, and that just always makes me feel cool, like I'm in a coffee shop.
Yeah, that scene in a movie where you're just having a chill coffee in the corner, working away.
Exactly. It works though. It really gets me like right in the mood.
Perfect. And I guess the most important question of all, ketchup or barbecue sauce?
Oh, it depends on what it's on. I'll go barbecue. I'll always go for a spicy option if it's there, for sure. But I like both. I definitely like both. Love
that. Great wrap up. Where can listeners, readers find more about you and connect with you, Rachel? I know you mentioned at the start, but where are your channels? What's your website? Where can they find you?
Absolutely. Everything is Money Healing Club, moneyhealingclub.com, at Money Healing Club on TikTok and Instagram. Hopefully developing a YouTube channel. We'll see. But all in the works. But yeah, the website is the home base.
You've nailed this. Please, if you're comfortable in front of the camera, I think it's a great avenue for you. So I really appreciate your time. I'll have this up and going for the listeners ASAP, but I really enjoy and look forward to seeing that 5-year timeline for you.
Thanks, Jack.
Awesome. See you, Rachel. Bye.